What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news each and every day, except for tomorrow and the next day, because I'm at the Game Awards. We'll be back next week after today's show, but everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. You can always join us InsideTheGame.ca, our YouTube channel, Inside the Game Official. Make sure you subscribe while you're there. Our fast channel over at Rad TV, the TV streaming platforms around the globe, just like Amazon Prime, Jinx Esports TV, Roku TV, ESTV, and of course, we also got you covered on the audio side with Fired Up Network, all 212 platforms. Scott, some interesting topics today, and no, it's not GTA. What are we talking about?
That's right. We have a rumor that Arkane is to reveal its next game at the Game Awards tomorrow, and that has both of our excitement maxed out. The Legend of Zelda movie's director has spoken about his ambitious, lofting ideas for this game, or this game's movie, and I'm excited about that. Skyrim's mod system has changed once more, and it's upsetting just about everybody on Skyrim.
Man, I don't know how you keep screwing up such an old game, Scott. Like, it's just been around forever, but new changes always affects people. You know what it is? People don't like change, Scott. That's what it comes down to.
I can agree with that.
Dude, I'm set in my ways. Like, straight up, I am, certainly. But, yeah, there's a lot to talk about on today's show. And again, just a reminder, I'm at the Game Awards. If you see me, come say hi. Take a picture. Let's hang out. Catch a coffee. Let me know what you're playing. But let's talk about it right now. Dishonored 3. Let's go! Scott, before we even get to topic number one, dude, our code arrived for Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. I'm currently about an hour and a half in. Dude, I am like super early, and I'm already feeling the Far Cry vibes. Already cleared out an outpost. Like, that's just, I'm already at that point. I'm like, this seems familiar, but with a new and another stunning landscape. Is kind of how it looks, right? Like, we're on Pandora. Dude, this world is incredible. If you're a fan of Avatar, I think what I'm seeing so far anyways, has been a welcomed addition to the fan base for Avatar fans like myself. And the scope of the vista. And I'm looking for certain things, but like I said, I'm so early right now. I'm just building out my character. I'm getting into this outpost situation. I've got a couple things happening here or there, but pretty early. What's going on right now is RDA is like planting these drills, and they're killing off parts of Pandora, your planet, right? And then that's your outpost. You got to go in, take them out, get out the drill. That's kind of where I'm at right now. We'll see how it goes, but I got a full review coming next week. So make sure everybody
very curious.
Stays
and I'm
tuned
also very jealous at this point.
Yo, and the other side of it too, dude, I actually played it last night on my PlayStation Portal. Sick.
That's cool.
Like, it was really comfy, and it just worked. I'm sitting in bed. I'm like, all right, we wrapped up Siege. I'm going to jump into this. I'll play for a little bit, work away on that. And I'm like, how do I get in here? And I was getting my butt handed to me by the RDA, and then I snuck in, and I used my bow and arrow and sniped a dude. It was pretty cool. So, but
oh, I like what I'm hearing so far.
So far, so good. But yeah, we'll see. I got a lot more to go. A lot more to go. But let's get into it. As Arkane to reveal his next game at the Game Awards, it's claimed. If you haven't heard by now, I will be at the Game Awards. That's right. Come hit me up. Say hi. I'd love to meet you. Scott, let's talk about it. Grant Taylor Hill, Insider Gaming.
We are also, if you weren't aware, we are also mega fans of Dishonored and Arkane.
Absolutely. So this is where I kind of go, oh yeah, let's go. Because in September 2023, references to Dishonored 3 surfaced in a leaked document that emerged from Microsoft versus the FTC court case. It wasn't the first time that we'd seen a reference to the existence of the third game in the Dishonored series, but it was the most legitimate example we'd seen thus far. Now, fresh claims are surfacing suggesting that Arkane Studios is going to reveal its next game during the Game Awards on December 7th. Dude, I will lose my mind.
Yeah, we might hear you on the broadcast over the crowd.
Arkane struggled monumentally this year with the notorious Redfall flop that produced one of the lowest rated games in history. Oh, man.
Oh, have you played that one yet?
Nope. Not even gonna bother. Dude,
I think I loaded 10 minutes into it and then bounced out. But I don't even remember, unfortunately. Or maybe fortunately.
Yeah. So, it's hoped that its next game, the studio could recover somewhat, but what exactly could it be? Dishonored 3 is possible, with Nate the Hate claiming on Reddit that he'd been told that Arkane's next game will be announced at the Game Awards. That was followed by a post on Twitter by Brad Sams, which was a single emoji alluding to Arkane's announcement involving a game featuring a sword or blade. This has, of course, led to speculation that the game is Dishonored 3, as the semi-open world dystopian stealth slasher franchise is, dude, that's a sentence right there, by numbers, the company's most popular series. It has it has already been more than 7 years since the last game in the series, Dishonored 2, which was released to a positive reception. It was thought for a while that the franchise had all but been abandoned, but it seems that it might not be the case if recent claims are to be believed. If the game is Dishonored 3, what's known is where Dishonored 3 could go. What's unknown, given how Dishonored 2 more or less wrapped up with the story and spanned 2 games and a handful of expansions. Scott, what are your thoughts?
I still have to finish. Well, first of all, my thought goes to, I need to beat Dishonored 2. That's one that I didn't finish up because I put so many hours into it, got pulled away due to the nature of the industry.
Yep.
But the idea of a Dishonored 3 has me super excited, just because I know that any amount of hours of Dishonored is a very good time, in my opinion.
Well, dude, I've mentioned it numerous times here. I'm back in the trap of Dishonored 1 right now. Dude, I'm literally going back, starting over, going through it all. Like, every time I get like a free moment that's not review related, I'm like, Dishonored. Right? I'm in Dishonored. Because it's that stealth hunger that I'm starving for that's hitting that void. And right now in Dishonored 1, I'm like, yo, let's go. And like, as I said, everybody turned on me now. Like, I'm picking you all off. Here I come. And then I'm going to roll into the DLC, and then I'm going to roll into Dishonored 2. But is this really Dishonored 3? We've had Deathloop, right? Which went rather well for Arkane.
Won a ton of awards as well, yeah.
Absolutely, right? Jason Kelly, friend of the show, voice acted, was part of the game. Incredible. I thought it was a really good game. It just wasn't my flavor, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, there's something about that had missed me as well, and I'm not sure what it is about.
It's the time loop, dude. I'm telling you, it's that time loop for me. I was just like, this isn't quite clicking. And then on the other side of it, I think you either like Deathloop or you hate it, right? It's kind of one of those, you're either all in or you're not. And I was kind of like, I had a good time, but I wasn't able to stick enough with it to kind of go, man, just wasn't quite feeling it. And then we all know how Redfall panned out. So
yeah,
is this the return to form where Arkane's like, yo, we need to go back to our roots, give what the fans want, and then bring them Dishonored 3? What are your thoughts? Tomorrow night, dude. Big day.
I think that's really the proper way to go about it. There's that possibility, or maybe do they roll back to Prey and kind of revisit Prey and try and do a 3? It's another one I haven't finished up, so I'm not sure if that's impossible. But they've already reworked that series once, so why not? But that would be Arkane firing on all cylinders, maybe at the top of their game.
Sure.
And they're not quite there yet after Redfall. So I think we will see it Dishonored first, because that return to form and get some confidence back under the studio that is unfortunately so bruised.
Well, I think that's really what it comes down to, right? Obviously, I think with Redfall and the way the team, from what we've heard within our industry, is that the team didn't really want to even put it out. They wanted to scrap the game altogether, and they were told no. And then they had to, and this is what happens, right? If your studio is not confident in the game, I get there's an investment there, but now look at the studios having to recover, right? Keep the mind share and go, hey, I would have rather covered the story of, hey, Arkane was working on something, it didn't stick with them, and they scrapped it. But instead, there's Redfall, and nobody liked it. Like, nobody, right? Industry-wide. Lowest rated game in history for the studio. And in a long time for, like, industry-wide. So how do you then build the trust back within your fans? You go back to the roots, right? Give us Dishonored 3. Problem is, do they have a story to build that off of, right? There's a fine line here of, we had a great story with 1, we had a great story with 2. Is there enough story to tell? Probably, right? I wouldn't doubt that they can come up with something, but is it forced or does it feel natural? I think this is where you look at Neil Druckmann too with Naughty Dog, right? The Last of Us Part 3. Wheels are spinning, opportunities are there, concept is there. It just matter of making it from pen to paper and having that flushed out story that we've had the experience with The Last of Us 1, The Last of Us 2, because when you come off of those games, dude, the hype is at a whole other level. Dishonored 1, Dishonored 2, hype at a whole other level, right? Then you get Deathloop, different story. Redfall, where do you, like, how do you do this, right? There's a fan base that has followed Dishonored for so long, like ourselves. Are they able to recoup that and bring it back? That's the biggest question.
I really hope they do, and if they do, we all must buy it, because that is how you secure a sequel. That's how you show your support, and that's the only reason we didn't get a Dishonored 3 so far.
I think that's really what it is, right? Stealth games really kind of faded off. You're either a stealth fan or you're not. And dude, I'm such a stealth fan. I love hiding in the shadows and all that kind of stuff. And so are you, right? We're both in that vein of gamers. And
oh yes,
if we don't support that genre, our genre slowly dies off. And that's why we saw a change even with Metal Gear Solid 5 going in a different light when it comes to the open in broad daylight stealth. I'm really curious how they work it over at Ubisoft with Splinter Cell, the upcoming whatever remake that's going to be, right? But they're going back to day one and remaking that whole game. So we are in a different light there. Or shadow.
Has me so worried at the same time. Oh.
Terrified. Yeah. But either way, tomorrow, dude, Arkane. Hopefully we see something. Dishonored 3.
The Game Awards might be the biggest point of hype in the near future, but a little bit beyond that, I have the Legend of Zelda movie to look forward to or worry about. Depends on how you feel. This is the Legend of Zelda movie director would love it to be like a live-action Miyazaki. This comes from Tom Ivan at VGC, and I first of all have to say, those are some very bold words. Miyazaki is the Studio Ghibli director creator, and if anybody is a fan of anime, you will know his name. It was announced last month that the film will be helmed by Wes Ball, the director behind the Maze Runner trilogy, and next year's Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And in an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Ball said his vision for the movie is inspired by the work of Studio Ghibli co-founder and Spirited Away director Hayao Miyazaki. He told the publication he sees the Zelda film as, quote, this awesome fantasy adventure movie that isn't like Lord of the Rings, it's its own thing. I've always said I would love to see a live-action Miyazaki. That wonder and whimsy that he brings to things, I would love to see something like that, end quote. I absolutely agree with that. Ball, who said as far back as 2010 that he hoped someone would bring Zelda to the big screen, claimed, quote, it's going to be awesome. My whole life has led up to this moment. I grew up on Zelda, and it is the most important property, I think, that's untapped IP, if you will. So we are very much working hard to do something. We're not just trying to do it because we can. We want to make something really special. These are very comforting words coming from... Absolutely. I need somebody who loves the series in the helm just as I do. But the Legend of Zelda series launched in 1986. I wasn't around for that one, but I was for Ocarina of Time, just as my whole generation was. It sold in the region of 141 million units worldwide. Following years of speculation, Nintendo announced the Legend of Zelda movie last month, and it will be co-financed by Nintendo and Sony Pictures Entertainment. Interesting, working together once more. Co-produced by Nintendo and Arid Productions. Serving as producers are Shigeru Miyamoto, representative director and fellow of Nintendo, and veteran Hollywood producer Avi Arad, the former chief creative officer at Marvel Entertainment.
Dude,
I'm not incredibly excited about the history with Marvel Entertainment introduced into this, but I can put that aside, being comforted by the words of this actual director in the helm. The idea of a Hayao Miyazaki level of film is something that's going to be hard to attain for anybody. You know, Nintendo or Disney would never do it.
Yeah. I appreciate that he's a fan. I think that's the biggest thing, that he's a fan of Zelda, which then goes a long way. Dude, I think this film, when it does release, does huge numbers. Like massive numbers. Everybody loves Super Mario, and it caters to, I think, a different audience. And the Super Mario Brothers movie was a massive success for Nintendo, which then bodes well to line them up for another film. Where do they go? They go to Zelda. What's their next big IP? Zelda, right? I don't think there's really anything else comparable. You have Mario, and then you have Zelda. And I think if we get this...
Metroid would be the third. But
I can see that, I guess, too. But I think you're kind of grasping a little bit more at straws.
it's fallen
than going
away.
with Zelda. Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Compared to where Zelda's at, right? With Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, then Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh,
And even
they're on
Hyrule,
fire.
right? Like Hyrule, I've got Hyrule downloaded for the flight to continue on. Dude, it's such a good game. It is such.
I gotta re-download that one actually.
Oh, it's so much fun. It is. I absolutely adore that game. And then I have Tears of the Kingdom, which I'm still chipping away at. So my 4.5 hour flight is gonna go by pretty quickly. 5 hours, either way. I got enough to play as long as my Switch survives the trip. So.
Oh, the idea of the Mario movie being such a smash success. I have not seen it, although I do have the Peaches song in my head.
Oh, that's a horrible
as
song.
we just talked about yesterday.
It's a horrible song.
What I'm worried is, what is Legend of Zelda going to pack into that movie? Is there going to be a song? Please, no.
Yeah, don't ask Jack Black.
Ocarina songs, of course, in which I actually have one. I have an ocarina. I will learn along, but no, please no singing.
I
I'm
think
really going to get to play Tingle.
I have high hopes. Dude, will Link say a word in this at all?
I really hope not. I don't want him to.
Yeah, you might as well just put on Master Chief helmet and then take it off.
Yeah, that would be breaking the
Right?
case.
Like,
That's actually a pretty good point.
That's how bad it would be. But I don't know. I'm really curious to see how they line this up, right? Is it obviously it's going to be focused on Zelda, but when it comes to introducing Link, how does that go with the rest of the story? Does he say anything at all? Like, I'm really, really, really curious how they cater to the Zelda franchise. Very excited. When do you think we actually see this, though?
Oh, I'm not certain at what point production is at now, but I don't think it's even begun. If I had to guess, I'm thinking we're still 2025.
Oh, easily.
Easily, yeah. Probably further away than that.
Probably 2026, 2027, maybe, give or take.
I'm going to try not to worry about it too much in that time. Although I am comforted, again.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, that he's such a fan, so I'm not all that worried, right? I think we're going to get lined up and get something pretty special, and I do look forward to it when it comes out.
Absolutely.
Scott, this one's an interesting one, dude. Skyrim's latest patch has ticked off players for 2 reasons. It broke old mods and added new paid ones. I was like, oh man, what is going on here?
Oh no.
Andy Chalk over at PC Gamer. Bethesda has released a big new update for Skyrim Special Edition that has managed the impressive feat of annoying players for 2 entirely separate reasons. Some are irritated by what they see as a renewed focus on paid mods for Skyrim, while others are chapped that the update has apparently broke a large number of existing mods. Bethesda launched the original paid mods program for Skyrim way back in 2015. That was a few years ago. And to say it didn't go well is like saying the Hinterberg had some safety issues. Wow. The uproar was so immediate and fierce that the entire program was scrapped within a week. It was resurrected, sort of, in 2017 with the launch of the Creation Club, which Bethesda said was not a paid mods system, even though mods in the program were only accessible with, quote, credits, end quote, that had to be purchased with, quote, real money, end quote. As we noted,
that satisfies my definition for paid.
What, right? You gotta use real money to get this? It sounds like I'm paying for it. As we noted at the time, it was all a bit confusing, but what it ultimately came down to is that some mods would be free and others, well, those on the Creation Club would cost money. The update released today is essentially a refinement of that program that pulls together existing mods and Creation Club items, along with new creations, as they're now known under a new creations menu in Skyrim Special Edition. Bethesda has also launched a new verified creator program, quote, the evolution of Creation Club, end quote, which enables approved members to sell their content, which is also course for where the upset begins. To be clear, not all creations are paid. Quote, while everyone can upload free creations, only admitted members of the verified creator program may get content approved for sale and earn royalties on each creation of theirs sold, end quote. Scott, you know what this reminds me of?
Fortnite.
You got it, buddy. That's exactly where I was going. I'm glad you can read my mind too. It's
it really does echo all the same points.
That's exactly where they're heading, right? They're like, hey, You know what Fortnite's doing? They're doing this. We should do it too. And that's where they're going. And then on the other flip side, dude, not only are they doing it here for Skyrim, what about Starfield?
Yeah, that's where this has implications for the future. Is this going to be something that we see come down the line with every Bethesda property? You're trying to claw back some money, trying to monetize it, but in Starfield, that would actually be a little more welcome, in my opinion, because it's a newer game. Although I'm not certain, I feel which one way or the other about it. It's that it's not a 11, 12-year-old game being changed and monetized. At this point, we're in the olden days. At this point, it'd be graduated as shareware almost, and we're getting the opposite effect where it's being extra monetized. I'm not sure anybody's going to be happy about that.
The other side too right now is that the Starfield community and player base is dwindled down to almost like nothing, right? Like nobody's really stuck around playing Starfield. So what does the future hold for Starfield? There's an update coming from Bethesda that's going to give us something, but in the meantime, dude, everybody's gone back to Skyrim. And
there is some DLC coming down the line, I believe, for Starfield, right?
Yes.
I can't remember what it was called.
It's story content, as far as I know.
I don't believe it involves a mod system, but I do recall back in the day, the mod system is what brought Skyrim to a whole new breath of life. And that's why it still endures to this day, I believe. Right.
So is there opportunity then here for Starfield to do the same thing, to bring back the player base, to allow the modders to go in and create stuff, bring new things to the game? Is there opportunities?
I hope so, but just let's do it and everybody understands exactly what that means, and we don't just reshake it in 2 years and like this situation is. Just as long as everybody knows what's happening right out day one, I think that was a great idea.
Yeah, I think they need to be clear, right? Now, Todd Howard and the team over at Bethesda said that mods are coming to Starfield. So we already knew that was coming. Just what does that creator program look like here moving forward for Starfield? Is that something everybody should be concerned about? Are we going to have selected paid opportunities, free opportunities? I'm probably sure you're waiting for a bit of both, right? And if you are part of the creation club that you're verified for, if you're creating content for the game, I think it's a cool thing to give a bit of a kickback then if you were able to sell something and make money off of that, right? We're starting to see the rise of creators in Fortnite. I think that's going to go over here as well. I think Bethesda also sees the rise of creators in Fortnite and are voting well here. But yeah, the future of Starfield is kind of in the hands right now of Bethesda to see if this has any legs at all. Very curious to see what happens next. But right now, everybody in Skyrim is a little upset. Scott, it's the day before the Game Awards, and clearly nobody wants to release anything today except for one game.
That's right. We have Battle Stations Blockade, and that is on the PC, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4 or 5, and the Xbox One, X and S.
There you go. That'll wrap up today's show, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with us. This has been ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news each and every day. We'll be back next week as I'm off to the Game Awards, as I've mentioned, so make sure you swing by and say hello if you see me there. Until next week, I'm Drew, that's Scott.
And we'll see you inside the game.